District 2 Assemblyman Chris Brown gives his take on Atlantic City and the possibility of North Jersey casinos, and we get to listen to the smooth sounds of one of our local and talented musicians, Benny Munoz. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University. Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas. Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias, and thank you for joining us today. In the midst of the lowest period for tourism and casino activity, Atlantic City and the region are faced with many challenges. And to talk more about what action the state legislators might be considering, with me is Assemblyman Chris Brown. Assemblyman, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
And obviously, you're District 2 representing Atlantic City and the surrounding Atlantic County community. And Atlantic City has certainly been a big focus of you and the legislative team of the 2nd District. Tell me a little bit about how things are going, and I know that the state does have a state monitor. Is that working?
Well, my concern from the beginning are working families, people who are just trying to make ends meet. Right now in Atlantic County, we have a crisis of foreclosure. We have the highest unemployment in the state. And we need to find ways to put people back to work. One of those ways to do that is to make sure that we continue to diversify Atlantic City so that it offers more than just gaming, so that we can continue the hospitality industry, but at the same time, we're able to bring in more people and do more things.
Now, Atlantic City has obviously been in a spiral in terms of losing casinos and jobs. Is that spiral continuing? Has it plateaued? Well, how do you see it?
I like to believe for the most part the gaming competition has plateaued, and right now the casinos that are popping up elsewhere are doing more damage to the ones outside of New Jersey. We've hit a point where, yes, there will be some more loss in gross gaming revenue, but for the most part I think we've hit that level. But what's important right now is that we don't allow casinos in North Jersey, because that will simply further cannibalize Atlantic City, causing 2 to 3 more casinos to close, 15,000 people out of work.
Yeah, I do want to expand on that a little further, but let me talk about the crisis in Atlantic City currently. Sure. And obviously with the close of the casinos and other casinos stepping up to have their taxes reassessed and essentially appeal their taxes. There's talk about pilot programs. Tell me a little bit about what that involves and why that may be or may not be a good idea.
Some of my friends across the aisle have come up with a plan that would say for 15 years the casinos' taxes are frozen. And I say, while that's great for a handful of casinos, what about all the hardworking families in Atlantic County? I don't think that we should try to stabilize the casinos' taxes alone off the backs of all of us. I believe that fairness should be the cornerstone of anything they're trying to accomplish. And so just think about it. Are we honestly saying that we think that Atlantic City government and the way that it spends money is not going to ask for more next year, just in cost of living? They deferred $40 million in pension and health benefits, and they took a one-time $30 million infusion in order to balance the budget this year. Well, when that $70 million comes due, families are going to have to pay that, because what we've said to the casinos in the pilot is for 15 years, you don't pay any more.
Well, based upon what you just indicated, do you think that Atlantic City is at the verge of declaring it bankruptcy?
Well, that's what we're trying to avoid, and that's what we're trying to come up with a plan. And it's been my opinion that we've had enough gimmicks, we've had enough short-term thinking. It's finally time to bring in some brain power and actually try and figure out a way that we can make Atlantic City right-size its budget. Because we all know if Atlantic City is unable to fix its budget, in other words, you have to make more money than you spend. Mm-hmm. And if you're spending more money than you have, to make up the deficit, you raise taxes. In 2 years, Atlantic City raised its taxes 50%. If they continue on that course, families can't live there, businesses won't come there, and of course the casinos will have to shut down. And so the cornerstone has to be fairness, and it has to be with the understanding that we have to right-size the budget. We have to make sure that we're thinking 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
You mentioned a lot of things that the city should be doing. How about from the state level? Is there things that the legislators and governor could be doing to help Atlantic City?
Without a doubt. Right now, over the past 5 years, the state, and it's been very important to me, has made sure that over $120 million has been spent in Atlantic City on infrastructure improvement, has been spent on the police improvement, has been spent on the local community. And that is very important that we continue to fight to get those state tax dollars back into Atlantic City. What the state should do, they should work with me, and they should make sure that we don't have North Jersey casinos.
Tell me a little bit about the plan that the governor laid out. There was a little bit of a plan laid out in terms of getting the city more diversified. Is that coming to fruition?
It's at its infancy. Unfortunately, my friends across the aisle about a year and a half ago, I believe for political reasons for themselves, started talking about North Jersey casinos. And when they started talking about those North Jersey casinos, you bring uncertainty to the market. Mm-hmm. And anybody in business will tell you that where there's uncertainty, you're not going to get investment. So again,
investment is what I want to continue our discussion on, but let's first take a quick break. We're going to be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We're discussing the regional economic realities and challenges with District 2 Assemblyman Chris Brown. Assemblyman, we're talking about investment in Atlantic City and the plan that the governor had laid out. What investments do you see coming into Atlantic City? Do you think it's going to make a difference?
Well, I think when we're talking about making a difference, when we're talking about the Latino community, one of the things that I think is important is to recognize that when you talk about the hospitality industry, whether it's Unite Here, Local 54, or otherwise, we need to make sure that we're trying to create jobs and opportunities that can sustain a family. I mean, when you look at it and you say, well, what makes America great? Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be the fact that you get paid a fair wage, you can retire someday, you go to the doctor if you're sick, and you put your kids through school. If we're talking about creating jobs and opportunity, then we have to be talking about that for everybody. So when we talk about investment, we're talking about, hopefully, and it looks like it's on its way, Stockton is looking to develop a campus. You have South Jersey Gas Company looking to build private offices there. And when you can bring together the private-public sector and create an environment, one that can grow, one that can provide jobs, one that can provide opportunity, then we're moving in the right direction.
Do you think those will come to fruition? I know that Stockton made a move and obviously still have a challenge in terms of getting their presence there in Atlantic City, and other commitments have been made, but nothing's really been formalized.
That's true. They're still in the process, and I can tell you that there's been a definite commitment, whether it's from Dean or President Kesselman, and before him, Dr. Sackkamp. The reality is, though, sometimes these things take a little bit of time, and you have to make sure that you do it right and you get it right. Clearly, the showboat was not a good fit for the school, and so that's no longer an option, but they are looking in other areas now, and I know that they have plans, and I am very excited for the opportunities it can present to all communities.
Now, let's talk about the North Jersey casinos. You started that discussion earlier. You didn't think it was a good idea, but there's been a lot of talk that maybe that competition may come to fruition in terms of maybe casinos down in Manhattan that will really dry up a lot of the market that comes here. Tell me where you stand in terms of the North Jersey casinos, and why do you think it's not a good idea?
Well, one of the things that the press said when describing me over the past 2 years is that Chris Brown is the staunchest opponent to North Jersey casinos in the entire state of New Jersey. And the reason is because, as we talked about earlier, if we're talking about the Latino community, if we're talking about providing opportunities for our families so that they can try to live the American dream, then the worst thing that we could allow to happen or to do, particularly down here in Atlantic County and South Jersey, is have North Jersey casinos. Now, that's not just me coming up with this notion that I think it's bad. When you look at the studies done by the Chamber of Commerce, they're talking about another $250 million pulled out of our area of investment and money. You're talking about 3 casinos potentially closing, 15,000 people out of work. So that is something, when we're talking about families, we're talking about jobs, and we're talking about opportunity, that is something that I will fight for, and I believe we should fight for.
Isn't New York already competing with us in terms of the casinos, and Pennsylvania? Is competition unavoidable?
From outside our state, you're exactly right. There's nothing we can do to control New York or Pennsylvania, but we can control what we do within our own state. And why we would compete with ourselves and cannibalize our own market makes absolutely no sense to me. And when you look at North Jersey and you look at their unemployment rate, it's about 5.5%. You look at our unemployment rate, the last it was between 9 and 11. We're almost double the unemployment rate of North Jersey. So why would anybody who truly cares about us down here in Atlantic County, who's willing to fight for us here in Atlantic County, why would they take us and say, we're going to put you in jeopardy of losing 15,000 jobs because we have a few power brokers and a few money guys who want to try and make a buck? See,
but it's certainly a fight that we're going to be watching closely.
Oh, it's a real Donnybrook. Yes,
here
right
in South Jersey. But just switching gears a little bit,
sure.
Obviously this is not the only issue you're working on at the state level as a legislator. Tell me about some of the hot issues that you may are working on currently.
Well, as you know, as a veteran myself, looking out for the thousands of veterans that are returning on a regular basis is something that I believe is very important, that we continue to fight to make sure that they get the mental health care as well as the housing. And we do everything we can to reintegrate them into society. I mean, if you think about it and you think about the money that we spend overseas and we spend doing so many other domestic programs, but here you have young men and women, I would say to you, America's best, who have just served us and they're coming home now. And shouldn't we do everything that we can possible to make sure that they have a job and have a roof over their head, that they're just treated with dignity? The amount of suicides by returning soldiers is at an all-time high. And I attribute that in part by a failure of us and our government for giving them the respect and the dignity that they deserve as people who have kept it so you and I could be here tonight and everybody else can go out and thrive. And so that's an issue that's near and dear to my heart.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have, but thank you for sharing that, and certainly we'd love to have you back in the future.
I would love it.
And thank you for joining us at home, and we'll be back with our next guest in just a moment.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. I'm proud to have Benny Munoz, a composer, arranger, and professional guitarist who has really mastered the romance of the guitar. Benny, welcome to Latino Motion.
Thank you for inviting me.
Tell me a little bit about the music you play.
I play Latin jazz, I play gospel, I play trio music, I participate in two churches on Sundays, and I play for different events.
And I've heard you play on a couple of occasions and really enjoyed how you play the guitar and really master.
Thank you.
Very romantic, I should say. And it's a pleasure to listen to. So we're going to not spend a lot of time talking because we want to hear you play. So let's listen in and listen to Benny and his guitar. Thank you for joining us at home, and let's continue to listen to some of Benny's music.
Choose quality, value, distinction. Choose Stockton.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, healthcare you can believe in. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.